If your business depends on a website or on some kind of online tool for your core business, so you can't live without it, what do you do to defend yourself against a DDoS attack, for example? And does it matter to practice this kind of thing? And do we need to collaborate with different organizations? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. Thank you for joining. My name is Lieuwe Koning. I'm the CTO of ON2IT. And from the More IP event here live in Amsterdam at AMS-IX, we present you Threat Talks. And the subject of today is the Anti-DDoS Coalition. Let's get on to it.
Welcome to Threat Talks. Let's delve deep into the dynamic world of cybersecurity.
Let me first introduce our two guests of today. Remco Poortinga van Wijnen, welcome. You work at SURF, and SURF is an IT co-operator of the research and education in the Netherlands, a whole mouthful. And your role is you're responsible for external facing cybersecurity services.
Yeah.
Right? So, and that obviously includes DDoS. So, can you tell me, what's your biggest fear when we're talking about DDoS?
My biggest fear would be the big DDoS that will hit us tomorrow and that we can't fight anymore.
The one that we haven't invented yet.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Yeah. All right. Well, on the other side, it's Martijn Peijer. He is the cybersecurity expert of the Dutch Tax Office Cybersecurity Center. You're an expert in a lot of things. It's actually very rare for both people actually to have some time to go somewhere. If you look at their LinkedIn profiles, they probably don't have any private life at all. And you are also coordinating red team exercises on DDoS. And that's because you're both actually a member of the Dutch DDoS Coalition. So that's what we're going to talk about a lot. Can you tell me last time you were launching a DDoS attack?
Yes, it was actually quite recent, and we managed, with the red team, we managed to hit 1.2 terabits per second. So it was quite a large attack.
1.2. This guy is not in jail for some reason. We don't know why. We don't know why. So in this episode of Threat Talks, we will talk about DDoS attacks, of course. The ones, which ones are there? What are the techniques? How can you fight those off? And we're certainly going to talk about how easy or difficult it is to launch an attack. You will know everything about that. And then, of course, what can we do? How do we fend those attacks off? And before I forget, there will be a treasure hunt somewhere in this Threat Talk. So if you see a code, be sure to send them to us. And you will get a t-shirt from us. So, gentlemen, Remco, let's start with you. So let's focus a little bit. There's so many different kinds of DDoS attacks. And we said we would focus on the ones, well, we are here at AMS-IX. So bandwidth and a lot of fiber optics that's available. So let's assume that we're talking about attacks that push everything to the limit. So volume attacks, basically. What's your strategy if you get a lot of traffic? How would you defend?
Well, basically throw away the bad stuff, right? And it depends on how big it is. But one thing you can do is, for example, if you get a reflection attack, a DNS reflection attack, you could just limit your DNS traffic to a certain amount.
What is a DNS reflection attack?
Basically, it's where the attackers ask a question to a DNS resolver or DNS server, but fake who they are, basically. So they say that they're really the victim. And then all those resolves and DNS servers will send a response to the victim.
So our nice attacker there, he sends me as an ignorant DNS server a packet, and I'll respond to you.
Yeah, indeed.
At volume. And what do you do?
Yeah, he will just say, hi, I'm Remco, and please tell me whatever.
And I'm going to recite a whole thread talk to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Amplification. Yeah. Okay. And then, what do you do?
So that might help you, right? Limit the amount of traffic relating to DNS. But of course, that might have a disadvantage that DNS doesn't work anymore for the people behind that. But you can then sort of whitelist the good guys or the good DNS resolvers that we have in our network. So then that would limit the impact.
How do you distinguish the difference? I mean...
So normally you would just look if there's an evil bit in the packet, but that doesn't always work, right?
We got to look up the evil bit online. It's hilarious. Yeah.
But that doesn't... So it depends on the type of attack, basically. Yeah.
Okay. So if it's a DNS attack, because I think it would be quite difficult probably if I'm a legitimate DNS server and I respond to his request to you, how do you figure that out then? Because your infra gets all my packets.
Yeah.
Is there any way?
So I can't really tell, right? But that's what I said. You limit the amount of responses, right? So you keep talking, and at some point I'll just ignore you, right? So I'll just drop the rest of all your threat talks, and that's it.
Okay, so how would you do this? Because apparently you are capable of launching these kind of attacks.
Yes.
Is that a difficult thing?
No, it's not difficult at all. Well, there are more difficult ways to get into DDoS. You could go to the dark web or hacker forums and buy yourself into an existing botnet, of course, or collect your own botnet. That's a lot harder. But the easiest way is just going to a booter site. So you just go to Google, search booter, and you get hundreds of hits. And anyone can do it. Even if you're only 15 years old, you can go to your local supermarket, buy a €10 PaySafe card, activate it online, and you can launch a DDoS attack. It's just really easy. You can just.
So you're now educating the rest of the audience.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this legal, by the way?
No, it's not. Oh well, if you're testing your own infrastructure, of course, but that's usually not the case.
That's how do you make sure? Because my understanding is that those booters they're generally not from the Netherlands or from North America or somewhere else in Europe. Huh? Where do you rent them?
Usually they're in Russia because they won't be taken down if you send an NTD. So notice takedown, they won't do anything with it.
Yeah, no jurisdiction there for any.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, okay. So then it's really that easy. I mean, you said a 15-year-old. Is that based on a true story?
Oh, you see it online nowadays. You see it happen a lot more often with video games like Minecraft and Fortnite, that they try to DDoS the competition. Or if there's someone with a Minecraft server and they don't like them, they just take the server offline. And they know from it because they all talk to each other in school and everyone's doing it nowadays. So, yeah. And
that's also, and they learn from each other, right? And they have a lot of try before you buy sort of attacks, so really short attacks that you can, so they can prove that they can DDoS, but they're usually easily mitigated. And we see, at least a slight correlation on our network, because we're for research and education, right? A slight correlation between exam periods and occurrences of attacks. So
really,
make of that what you will. Yeah.
So if you couldn't sleep because you're so anxious for your exam tomorrow, then you simply do a trial for a booter. That's what you're seeing.
Or maybe you're so stressed for your exams that you do a lot more gaming, and that will lead to more attacks. That could be the case as well.
Nice. Can any of you say something about reasons why people would do a DDoS in the first place?
Yeah, there's many different reasons, of course. You have the gamers, that's just to take the competition offline. The students are mentioned. But you also have ransomware groups and other cybercriminal groups who try to pressure organizations into paying. They might even send an email ahead of the DDoS attack, like you have to pay us or we're going to take down your infrastructure. That's a reason. And we see hacktivism a lot nowadays because of the many wars going on in the world. People are forming alliances and activist groups, and they're...
What would a hacktivist gain from attacking someone? Who would they attack, for example?
Well, for example, you have No Name, which is one of the biggest right now. It's an activist group from mainly Russia. And they have a DDoS client that anyone can download voluntarily. So you can volunteer, download the client and start the DDoS attack. And it's against people that, not people, it's against countries that support Ukraine in the war against Russia. So the Netherlands has been a target many times by them as well. Not just government sites, but they even pick banks and smaller stores. Everything is a target for them.
What are they trying to achieve then? I mean, what's the effect of it?
They're just really angry with the countries supporting the war. So they just want to take it down. And you also see it being used in cyber warfare as well. Like Russia also tried to take down, they actually took down the mobile service providers in Ukraine. When they were having the war there. So that's another reason to use it as well.
And that's all with DDoS techniques?
Yeah, all with DDoS, yeah.
You also see it for example, the situation in Gaza. Links that the institutions might have with Israel. That's the one. I think 2 British universities we heard earlier this year because of their links with Israel, or supposed links, whatever. Yeah. So that's not a form of activism. So it doesn't have to be state-based. but it has to do with some political goal or view or.
So there's so many different reasons to do this. I mean, we've had some years where there was DDoS in the news all the time, and I often get the response from customers, from people I talk to. It seems to be less, but that's, if I hear you guys, that's not very true.
It's not less.
No. The big ones, we see fewer big ones, at least that serve, but I can't speak for other ISPs or well.
I think it's just less in the news because people are getting used to it, and it's not big news anymore.
And maybe you're better in defending.
Maybe that as well. Yeah.
Oh.
Try to get better.
So let's talk a little bit about how we can overcome this, right? You're responsible to get everything, keep everything online, and there's this. Can you tell us a little bit about the DDoS Anti-DDoS coalition? What is this?
It's simply a number of organizations working together on everything that has to do with fighting DDoS, right? Doing DDoS mitigation. So that might be technical, might be doing drills, for example, and you can tell a lot about that. But it's also legal aspects and a little bit of communication as well.
So what is the key thing? Why it pays off to work together?
Well, I find that a difficult question because I'm from Surf, right? And we are born from collaboration. So it's almost a better question to ask, why wouldn't
Martijn?
you?
Yes.
The tax office wants to collaborate. Why?
Yes. Of course, to combat these attacks, to learn more about the attacks, the groups behind them, and to learn better to fend off these attacks together. So that's also why we organize with the Anti-DDoS Coalition. Every year we organize the DDoS exercise, where all these parties that are member of the coalition come together, and we have a red and a blue team. And all night we'll be doing all kinds of attacks from the red team towards the blue team, and the blue team is trying to mitigate these attacks. It's like a game.
That's why you're legally DDoSing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you are collaborating with all these other parties, I mean, there's a technical aspect of this. Huh? Mm-hmm. My understanding is there's many different ways you can DDoS. I mean, it's not like there's a DDoS and just a bunch of data. Can you speak a little bit to give the audience a little understanding what kind of thing? What can you give some examples?
Some examples of different DDoS attacks.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So you have the volume-based attacks, which are the most common. These are the ones that are used most in these tests. So it's just flooding with many packets to take down the infrastructure.
Is there then a difference in how you would launch them or how you would fend them off? If it's a DDoS amplification attack, for example, maybe it's a SYN attack somewhere. I mean, there can be different techniques to be used, huh?
Yeah, usually, like Remco said, the easiest way is to just block the traffic from these specific ports. Or you could use like a scrubbing center. We have those in the Netherlands as well. And you could use that to scrub out all the dirty traffic.
Yeah, and that requires that traffic is going through this scrubbing center.
Yes, right? Yeah, you have to redirect it.
So you need to prepare that.
Yeah. Well, you can have like an automatic mitigation, like 2 or 3 minutes after the DDoS is detected, it automatically directs all the traffic to the scrubbing center.
Yeah, so Remco is going to put all that in place, but it's your job to give the blue team a hard time, right?
Yeah.
So you do such an attack, and he scrubs it.
Yeah.
And then
do you change your... That's boring. So
that's boring. Yeah, exactly. So how do you keep it fun?
During the test, we usually take some time to also disable this auto mitigation, of course, and try to see how our own measures are holding up to the attacks. For the blue team, and also try to see how that works out.
And in the real world, if someone is under an attack of, let's say, a DNS amplification attack, and suppose that is being fended off, do attackers shift gear and go to another type of attack?
Yeah, it depends what the attacking group is. If you're talking about the students, they're just clicking on a booter, click start, they don't have any idea what they're doing. But if you're talking about like a state-sponsored group or the bigger hacktivist groups, they are trying to see if the site or the servers are going down. And then if it's going back up, they know, oh, they're trying to fight it off. So they will switch to another kind of attack.
So it is a bit of a cat and mouse game if you're with those advanced. Yeah. So if I hear correctly, you're laughing a little bit about the guys who do the booter thing because that's a solved issue.
It's easy to mitigate.
Yeah,
typically. Yeah.
Automatic mitigation, is that a thing? Is that possible? Automatic? Or do you still need to
absolutely. Yeah. We do quite a lot of automatic mitigation.
So you might be under attack right now and you won't know it.
We don't.
Your
You don't
phone is
always
off.
notice that serve. So yeah. But if it's even bigger than that, we try to always have yet another line of defense, right? So if we can't fight it off ourselves, then we might go to NAVAS, the scrubbing center of the Netherlands.
Yeah, and the reason this works, I mean, so you have a finite amount of bandwidth available. If that's full, then the idea is that NAVAS then gets your traffic from then on, and they have a bigger pipe. Is that it?
No, that they're better equipped to handle. Well, they get better equipped for scrubbing bigger data.
So they are able to do the
scrub that more effectively than we can for a certain amount of traffic, right? Because what we can do is based on our experience over the past years. That's why I said my biggest fear is the bigger attack that comes tomorrow, because that might be sort of doesn't match.
So it would be an attack that would flood all your scrubbing centers.
Essentially, yeah. So you're left with no.
Can you do that?
Well, it's almost impossible to take down those scrubbing centers. Yeah, you would have to send so much data. It's impossible.
Yeah, so even suppose some nation-state attackers, let's say, let's assume for a moment that we are indeed in the next Cold War, and there are a couple of nations that are in 70% of our solar panels in the country, for example, and they all control that, and also on 50% of the Android phones. Wouldn't that be possible?
But if they have that capability already, why would they launch a DDoS attack if they're in 50% of the phones? There are much more effective ways of using that botnet.
Yeah, good point. They would simply shut off.
For example,
use the botnet as a tool.
Yeah.
So don't even need it.
Backdoor, spy on everyone. It's a lot better than to use it for DDoS attack.
Yeah, okay, so DDoS is mostly if it's in infrastructure that is not the target itself, but it could be from other parts of the world.
Yeah.
When is this fear going to come true?
Well, if we start, the attackers start developing their attack infrastructure more, but yeah, I don't think it's possible to take down everything.
Good.
We have so much
some good
data.
news today. Yeah. All right. Hey, I understand you have some kind of Remco a DDoS database and fingerprinting information in that. That's what the coalition collects. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Well, the idea is that if you want to, especially want to do drills, right, DDoS drills, it's nice to have a sort of description of what an attack could look like, and that's where a fingerprint comes in. So you basically take a copy of your DDoS, copy that locally, and analyze it and see what different attacks are in there, what we call attack vectors, so DNS or NTP or CLDAP, whatever, so that you can incorporate that in your next drill. And you use the DB to store them, and so you can exchange that information between the different members.
So when there's such a practice, I'm almost enticed to say party, you choose one of those attack types.
Yeah,
and it's the job of the blue team then to fight it off, and based on the fingerprinting information that you already have, you know what countermeasure to deploy.
For example, but
this is not an easy thing, huh?
What doing the mitigation or no, that it can be difficult.
It's a profession.
It is. It is. Yeah, it's not just turning a knob or whatever. It's you have to know what you do. Apart from the easy ones, that.
Yeah.
We don't only do attacks, of course, by those fingerprints or the standard attacks. We also have the application layer attacks, which are custom made in-house. And every organization that's participating usually also does application layer attacks. They have red team members that create those.
All right. It's time for our treasure hunt, like I promised. And here's the code for you. It's 252406, and you can email it to code@threat-talks.com. Send it to us, and we'll ship you a T-shirt. Don't forget to include your address. Gentlemen, resilience grows when you practice. That's what that's what you've been saying. Is this a scale thing? I mean, is that a reason to work together? Is it possible for kind of? I mean, if you're Google, for example, do you also need to be part of a coalition?
Difficult question. I think that it always helps to have another.
But you know the value of this, right? You learn so much. I mean, he's launching a tech. You see something. There's another organization that has a flaw or so, or someone comes up with a new DDoS attack, and you learn from it. So makes you resilient.
And we also have recently we created the Intel and Attribution working group within the coalition. very recently. And this is trying, it's like a mini cyber threat intel team within the coalition. And we're trying to identify who's behind all these attacks on these organizations. Also, what kind of people are in those attacking organizations, attacking groups, and what their motives are, et cetera, et cetera. So we can learn more from their motives.
Anything to add on that subject?
No.
I'm interested. One thing, what intrigues me all the time is somehow I don't know. Maybe you can say this best. If there is such a technique where you do a SYN attack, for example, how and you spoke about the evil bit, where you filter out. So give us a little bit technical detail on how can you distinguish proper traffic of non-proper traffic?
I think Remco knows best from the blue team side.
But yeah, I'm not involved in exercises themselves, right? But
yeah.
As I said, it's limiting, basically filtering your traffic. But that only works if your connection isn't already flooded.
Yeah, and once the connection is really there, then the volume is really there to flood your whole network. Then it's no more.
You have to work upstream, right?
Yeah. So if I am a small business and I want protection, what would you recommend? Because maybe you can be part of a coalition, but you have to have very good people also. Maybe it's difficult for
small businesses. I wouldn't recommend something like a scrubbing center because they won't probably get those big kind of attacks. But they could buy their own infrastructure. It doesn't have to be expensive. Or they could rent something like from Cloudflare, some of those parties. It's way cheaper and way easier. And also, those smaller businesses have, a much smaller chance
less
of
of
getting
a target.
attacked. And also probably larger attacks if they happen.
Yeah, okay, so then what you do?
Less large attacks.
Talk to your hosting provider or to your ISP if you host it yourself.
Is it a bit like a scrubbing center by default? I mean, your own website tool or so is not hosted in your own infrastructure, but somewhere else, like one of a large organization that is part of a coalition that can then host it for you and will just send you the data from there. Is that how things work?
Yeah, but unfortunately, there's still many businesses that don't have any kind of DDoS protection. But the smaller business probably won't have been a target yet, but maybe they will be later on. So
okay, gentlemen, we can talk about this for years. We should probably deep dive more another day, but our time is running out. So, but there's a couple of takeaways I think that we can provide to the audience. First of all, DDoS is surprisingly easy. Huh? I mean, after this talk, there's probably going to be a search because you explained just Google for booters. It is, huh? Yeah, and practice makes perfect. Yep. Right. So everybody should then try to simulate what happens if.
If they get under a DDoS attack, but practice on yourself, not on others, please.
Okay. Time for a few questions. Who wants to? I mean, we have. Sir. I'll repeat the question. What is the role of an internet exchange in mitigating an attack? That was your question.
The internet exchanges, some of them, like AMS-IX, are also part of the Anti-DDoS coalition. So they're also working together in these working groups.
Yeah, we heard AMS-IX. Maybe we have someone from AMS-IX here who can best answer that question. I know Stavros is very good at this. Is he in the room? Maybe. Oh yeah, come up.
Okay, team.
Yeah, can you answer the question? What does AMS-IX do?
Hello. Yes. So that's a really good question. And there's no actually one correct or direct answer. There are many things that we can do. First of all, we make sure that our network is stable, even though under these situations where a customer is under an attack, we make sure we have enough capacity that we will not saturate links, and we constantly monitor our backbone links to be sure that even under these stressful situations, we can help. But also, if customers say that, okay, we need some extra tools or services, there are things that we can do. For example, we are a member of the NAVAS. We are members of NBIP, and we have NAVAS implemented in our platform. And also, we're looking on tools like RTBH, Remote Trigger Black Hole, that some customers request for that in order to help them mitigate DDoS attacks. And of course, if there is if a customer needs assistance to check into traffic patterns or even shut down a port, yeah, we can do that as well. But we need permission from the customer, definitely. There's a thin line of, okay, what you can do, because we are not internet police here, right? It's just a layer 2 platform. So we help customers to mitigate, but we are not doing any police here. So definitely, we want to be also more future-proof, and we look into more services, as I said, RTBH, in order to help on those directions.
Very clear. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, NAVAS is one of those scripting centers you were talking about. Huh? Yeah. Okay. Any other question? Who wants coffee?
Quick question.
Yeah.
Don't you just kind of live for the moment of an attack, though? Like, honestly, you want it to happen, right?
Yeah.
So that you go, okay, here we go.
It's usually like a big LAN party. We're all sitting there together in one room with like 40, 50, 60 people in the red team.
Of course, my colleagues get to brag about how they can DDoS the hell out of the tax.
No, but I mean,
have snacks, drinks.
at the Belastingdienst, at the tax office. Like, don't you just kind of secretly hope that one day someone tries at least?
Oh, they try every day.
Oh, really? Yeah.
We get attacks every day, but they're easily just mitigated by our blue team of the Security Operations Center. So,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
And the tax deadline submission is also a DDoS in itself,
Sorry?
right? The deadline for submitting your tax returns, that's also...
Yeah. Yes. We see that as well.
booters to make sure you don't have to pay taxes. That didn't come up in my mind.
Well, the first day of the aangiftecampagne is a natural DDoS because everyone tries to, at 12 o'clock, everyone logs in and tries to do that.
Is this one of your techniques that is being deployed? And do we have an algorithm against that particular attack? Probably the hardest.
Yeah.
Because it's actual legitimate traffic.
It's all legitimate traffic. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same with Ticketmaster. If there's
same.
Star, they now have these portals where you have to wait in line, huh? And that's also a DDoS mitigation, but
maybe we'll get that as well in the future.
Yeah, wait in line until you can pay taxes.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for all your insights. Thanks, AMS-IX, for hosting this Threat Talk and this event. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in to this Threat Talk. If you liked what you saw today, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to it so you'll be sure to have a new episode of the Threat Talk every Tuesday in your inbox. And we'd love to hear from you. Email us at team@threat-talks.com. And we reward that feedback also with a t-shirt that we send to you. And from the AMS-IX More IP event here in Amsterdam, we thank you very much for tuning in and see you next time.
Thank you for listening to Threat Talks, a podcast by ON2IT Cybersecurity and AMS-IX. Did you like what you heard? Do you want to learn more? Follow Threat Talks to stay up to date on the topic of cybersecurity.